Oh yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. Put that puppy right about there. That thing was like 40 pounds, man. That is heavy. That is beautiful, is what that is. Well, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the show. You know, we've been quarantined. We've been really staying close to home. We haven't been doing a lot of fishing, just like you guys are probably not doing a lot of fishing either. So, you know, a few weeks back, I thought, it'd be neat to talk about some of the stories of some of the tournaments that I fished back in the day, like the very first Bassmasters tournament that I fished. That video is on the channel now. Pretty cool story. Or even this 5th place tournament that I had back in 2002 on Lake Murray. Awesome finish here. I've got that one up on the channel. But I asked everyone in the comments, I said, hey, guys, drop a comment below and let me know what tournament you would like to hear about. And there's several really good ones. And so now we're going to get down to what I would call like the top 3. These are the top 3 tournaments starting right now. In this video that you're watching now, we're going to talk about this one right here. I don't know if this is number 1. It might be number 1. It might be number 3. I don't really know. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm not real sure. You tell me after the series. You rank them. How about that? Okay? This tournament right here, year 2000. Year 2000. That was 20 years ago, guys. Pascagoula River, Mississippi, FLW Tour event. This was my very first year as a pro on the FLW Tour. This was my second professional tournament as a pro on the FLW Tour. The very first one was at Lake Okeechobee. I did okay. I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible. And I remember thinking, like, I'm about to go. I mean, this is what's neat about the story. There's so much to the story. So I remember like, this will be the first time that I've left the state of Florida to go fish in a tournament, right? So I'm nervous about that. So I drive all the way to Pascagoula River out to Mississippi, and I practice all week, and I'm catching them okay. But I'm catching them in a really different place. I'm actually catching them in Mobile Bay. We'll show the map right here. Here we go, right here. You can see Mobile Bay is pretty far away from Pascagoula River. There's a lot of ocean in between. That's right, guys. I drove my bass boat through the ocean to catch bass and win the tournament. I won this tournament by taking this risk. And when you talk about a risk, I mean, this was sketchy deal. This is a neat story. I actually encourage you guys to stick into this video and not click off this video because A, it's a great story. B, we've got video. We have video, okay? So we're gonna be rolling some video of some of these moments, and it's freaking hilarious, okay? Day 1 of the tournament, I blast off, I leave Pascagoula River, I head out across the ocean, Gulf of Mexico for that matter, make it to Dolphin Island Bridge, go under Dolphin Island Bridge. Now, to put it in context, the water between Dolphin Island Bridge and Pascagoula was a very shallow oyster bed and filled bay with we didn't have maps. We didn't have GPS maps with contours and stuff on them, especially for the ocean. So all I had was just a blank screen on my GPS and like a little where I've been trail, like a little bread trail. And so the first day I drove across the ocean, and I'm driving in like 2 and 3 foot of water mostly, and I can see oyster bars. I can see white PVC poles marking where the channels should be. I'm seeing crashed boats, old shrimp boats that are all sunk, just crazy looking stuff. Middle of nowhere, phones don't work. Well, I make it over there. It's a 70-something mile run from Pascagoula River, freshwater, through the Gulf of Mexico, under Dolphin Island Bridge, into Mobile Bay, and I go up underneath I-10. I-10 where you've probably driven across a lot of times. If you're driven across I-10 and you're heading west towards Mississippi, on the right-hand side of I-10, which would be the north side of I-10, is where I ended up winning the tournament. And I went over there, and the first day of the tournament, I roll up in this depression out in this flat, right? I roll up there, the lipless crankbait, bam, 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 bam. I'm wrecking them, guys. I'm wrecking them. So all of a sudden, I got a limit. Pretty good limit for over there because the bite was tough, right? I mean, this is a low weight tournament. Pascagoula River tournaments there take like 10 pounds to win. So I can't remember exactly what I had the first day, maybe 9 or 10 pounds. And I come back, I start heading back in. I'm thinking, well, I need to head on back. Well, this was what's crazy. So guys, I get out, heading out into Mobile Bay, and it's like 40 miles to the Dolphin Island Bridge. And as dead slick calm, it's in February. And all of a sudden, I'm driving the boat, I'm cruising along, and I didn't really give myself a whole bunch of extra time to get back because it was dead slick calm. I'm looking out in the middle of Mobile Bay, and it looks like the world ends out there. I don't see the horizon anymore. Just kind of, just all of the water and the sky and everything just blends in, and all of a sudden, I go right into this giant fog bank, and that's why it all blended in. It was just fog from like literally the water up as high as you could see, and it just looked like an invisible wall of fog. And there I go inside the fog, and now I'm having to look at my bread trail. As I'm driving, I'm looking at my bread trail on my GPS and trying to like follow the path. I don't want to hit a bridge pylon. I don't want to hit a marker pole. I mean, you know, I'm kind of freaked out. And about that time, my co-angler, we had co-anglers back then, he starts yelling, like, watch out. And natural instinct is I just turn to the right. And as I turn to the right, I'm looking and I see water splashing and I don't know what it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I'm just like, just again, reaction. I'm turning and looking, and finally I realize that I'm literally driving down the side of a giant oil freighter. There's oil freighters that come up into Mobile Bay, and they're in the shipping channel out there, and it was cruising along. And I saw one in the morning when I was driving over, and it was kicking a wave out the back of that oil freighter, probably 20-foot tall wave, big thrust wave, just giant wave coming out the back of it. Well, here I am going down the side of one of them, just about T-boned the dang thing. And I'm going down the side of it. I can see the side of the ship, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit one of these waves, but I can't see where the wave was even going to start. So I just keep turning to the right to get away from this ship. And about that time, my co-angler screams again, and I look up, and there's another oil freighter. There just happens to be two oil freighters in the shipping channel crossing each other. And here I come right in between them. And I hang a hard right, I hang a hard left, and somehow, by the grace of God, I did not hit one of these 20-foot tall thrust waves off the back of these freighters. Fortunately, I went off the front right of the first one and went off the front left of the second one and stayed out of the way of those big waves. But I was so freaked out, guys. I drove all the way back another 60-something miles in straight fog. I mean, like that kind of fog. Can't see anything. I mean, nothing. I get back, I weigh my fish in, I'm shaking. 10 pounds, whatever, I'm in 10th place in the tournament. I call my wife and I'm like, there's no way that I could go and do this again. There's no way that I'm gonna go out. If it's foggy tomorrow morning, it's too dangerous. Somebody's gonna get killed. I'm just not gonna do it. And so I checked the weather forecast. Sure enough, fog calling for the morning. So I decide, well, I'll just see how it goes. If the fog lifts, I may run. If it doesn't, I'm not going to go. Long story short, 9 o'clock the next morning, we're in a fog delay, guys. It's already past the time. It takes me an hour and a half to get over there, 2 hours to get there, hour and a half, 2 hours to get back. I got to be in by 3. I'm doing the math on it. I'm like, look, if I don't blast off by like 9 o'clock, I don't even have enough time to run over there and fish. I mean, I might have an hour total, and that's a little risky. So then 9:30 hits, and I'm like, I'm not going. Well, then they start calling boat number 1. The fog started to lift where we were, but the fog was still bad out in the ocean. Boat number 1, I was boat 5 that second day. So sure enough, I line up in formation, take off, and I've either got to go left to go up Pascagoula River and go up there and try to catch something, I don't even know what, or hang a right and go back in the ocean. And I remember getting to the mouth of that river thinking like, this is my moment. Like I really feel like I can win this tournament. So I have to be safe, but I also have to take some chances. And I really feel like I can win it now, especially because a lot of these guys aren't going to go there. You know, the fog's a big delay. I'm going to have more water over there to fish. This could be my opportunity. So I hang a right, guys. I hang the right. I go right by Ingalls Shipyard, head right out in the Gulf of Mexico, and here I go again. Now the problem is I'm driving in straight fog all the way there, and I'm seeing white PVC poles go by me. I'm watching my GPS, I'm watching my depth. It's 2 foot, it's blinking, it's doing all kind of stuff. And I literally almost get stuck 2 or 3 times, like running over oyster bars. So I make it over to the fishing spot. I get up, I've got about 45 to 50 minutes to fish. And I get up and I tell myself, if I catch 5, I'm out of here. If I catch 5, I'm gone. I stand up, man, like the first cast, boom, 2-pounder. And then next cast, 3-pounder, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, I've got 13 or 14 pounds. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm out of here. My co-angler even catches a limit. They're biting. So I get 5 in the box, he gets 5 in the box, and we take off and we head back. And I make it back pretty safe. I mean, I almost got crashed on 2 or 3 different oyster bars. I got off track one time with running my bread trail on the screen, And I had to just kind of close my eyes, trim it up. And I remember looking back and the depth finder was blinking and I could feel the engine hitting oyster bars. And I made it through this little shallow area. But I got back, weighed in, and I can't remember if I was in second or third place at this point going into day 3, but I had moved up quite a bit, maybe fourth, something like that. And went back over on day 3. This is where it gets a little crazy. Complete opposite conditions. Day 3, we got a north wind. It's a post front. There's no fog, but the wind's blowing really hard. I'm driving over there. I'm halfway back. The camera boat following me. And all of a sudden, I look back behind me, and the camera boat's not there. And I'm like, where in the heck's the camera boat? And I look way off on the horizon, and I could see way off on the horizon, see like a boat. So I turn around and go all the way back, like 2 miles, and it's the camera boat, and it's broke down. So I'm like, look, dude, we have no phone service. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. The engine won't start. We're just going to have to leave the boat. Like, just leave it. We'll waypoint it. We'll figure it out. Like, you can't sit in this boat by yourself in the ocean with no power and no phone service. So just get in the boat with me. So we finally secure the boat. We get in the boat. We take off. I've got the camera guys in my boat. I've got my co-angler in the boat. I mean, we're loaded down. Camera gear, everything. We make it over to Dolphin Island Bridge. We go underneath Dolphin Island Bridge, head all the way up to I-10, and I run across this mud flat to where I've been fishing. And to get into where I'm fishing, you had to go under I-10. Matter of fact, here, I'll show you. This is exactly some footage for running under I-10. Here it is, right here.
Well, he feels a little sorry, I think. Here they are right now. This is the I-10 bridge, believe it or not, over Mobile Bay, and our guys found their way, and they're getting close to the fishing spot.
That's also Highway 80 going across there, too, and I don't believe Kim feels sorry for him one little bit. It was howling. I imagine the guys have waited nearly 2 hours to pick up their fishermen, and kind of looks like Scott is feeling his way underneath the bridge.
Bit of a wrong turn. He looks like he's on it now.
Good news, though. His fishing spot is in sight. Good news for Scott.
Wasn't that cool? I mean, like literally, I did like a loop-de-loop and then went right under the bridge, and I shot out through there, and I had to get engine trimmed all the way up. It's maybe 1.5 feet deep, and make it across there. But the problem was that north wind was starting to push a lot of water out. And for all of you that know about wind and tide and what wind does to the water, it's starting to push water out of that area. And it's making it much shallower than it normally is. So I'm barely getting in there. So on day 3, I get in there, I catch some nice fish again. My dad's in the area. Paul Elias is on the other side fishing a couple little spots in there, but he's not catching them that good. He got in there real late. And my dad's not catching them all that great in this area, but I'm lighting them up with this little half ounce. It was actually a 5/8 ounce Yo-Zuri rattling vibe. And as you watch the footage of me, I was kind of reeling it and stroking it and letting it fall, reeling it and stroking it. What I started noticing with these fish is they had crabs in their stomachs. They were spitting up crabs. Every day when I drove back 70 miles, I'd get back to Pascagoula to weigh the fish in, and there'd be a live well full of crab bodies in my live well where they've spit them up. I mean, like a pound a day of crab. So I'm thinking, like, this isn't good. But I'm letting that rattle trap sink in the mud and then ripping it up and letting it sink and ripping it up. And it's coming up and hitting the bottom, coming up and hitting the bottom. And I think they thought it wasn't a bait fish. I think they were really thinking it was a crab. The way, crab will scurry up off the bottom. And I was catching them good. So day 3, in the books, north winds. This is where it gets interesting. This is where history happens, guys. Day 4, I've got a chance to win a $100,000 tournament and to become the youngest angler in history to win a $100,000 tour event. And I take off, man. We run over there. Wind's blowing out of the north again. I make it over there pretty good. But again, I'm noticing when I pull up to the bridge and I'm looking at the water line, tide is going up and down too throughout the day. And I'm noticing that this water is a lot lower than it should be because that wind's blowing it out. I get in there and I get set up. And there's a couple other anglers in there in this little local tournament, but they were all very nice. They all kind of let me kind of do my thing. I went around and I had 4 or 5 marker buoys, and I went out and I laid markers in these certain couple little hearts. What it was, there was like little oyster bars on this mud flat, small ones that rose up and had hard bottom, little shell beds, and that dropped into this little ditch. And that's where those bass were hanging out. They were living on those oyster bars, not on all the mud around it. So there were very specific little spots, and there was like 5 little key spots, like literally the size of a vehicle. and I knew exactly where they were. Most everyone else was just going around randomly fishing, and they would catch a fish randomly. But I got lucky and figured out that these were shell beds or harder bottom spots. And I went around and dropped a marker on 4 or 5 of my best ones and asked all the local guys if they didn't mind not really, tearing up those areas with the markers out. And they were all very nice. They knew, they'd been watching online and been watching, what was going on. 4-day tournament, $100,000 on the line. They gave me tons of space. But here's what was cool. A big fish in Pascagoula River, a big fish in any of that system is a 5-pounder. Well, guys, check out what I caught.
And finally, Scott Martin is set up and fishing.
And he's fishing the same thing, Tommy, a lipless crankbait. He's fishing his a little bit different. He's actually not in the grass. He's bumping his off the bottom.
Well, we just went 65 miles across Mobile Bay. The wind was still pretty bad today. Took a beat and one of our camera boats broke down, so we had to pile everybody in here, and that took a little bit of time. And since we've gotten here, there's quite a few boats on the spot today. There's a local tournament over here today. I figured there'd be some boats in here. They're fishing some club tournaments and stuff. So hopefully some of these guys will give me a little bit of room in here. It's not as bad as I thought. I figured there'd be about 10 boats in here. It looks like there's only really one other guy fishing hard. Hopefully they'll leave me alone, and I've got about 4 different spots in here that I can hit. I feel like I can get a limit. I've already caught one, a real small one. If I can get, if I can keep it to myself, hit these spots and catch these fish, I got a real good shot at it.
What you want to do is watch Scott's action with his rod. He's allowing that bait to go on the bottom, and then he's actually jerking it back up off the top and hit the bottom, jerk it back off the bottom. Fish just can't stand that.
Oh, I got a good one on here. I got a good one on. I don't know what. Oh my goodness gracious! Woo! This is the biggest one I've seen in here ever. Woo! God almighty, love it. Look at that one. Yes! No need of measuring that one. I might have to take a break after that one. Oh, God. Oh.
Was that crazy or what? That is a 6-pounder, by the way. That was big fish of the tournament. That is a monster. When I caught that fish, I thought to myself, if I can put 4 more fish, or actually I had one already in the boat, like a 12-incher, the 6-pounder, if I can finish my limit off, I'm going to win the tournament. I knew it. I get back up there, I fired, like 3 or 4 casts later. Well, here, just take a look again. Here.
Your story is Scott Martin's big fish.
Man, when he come up and jump, I about freaked out. I thought it was a redfish. And I saw his head go, oh, there he is. Oh, boy. Oh! There he is. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, you talk about nerves. I mean, all of a sudden, I've gone from 1 fish to a 6-pounder to losing 2 or 3 in a row. And it's getting like, oh my gosh, am I going to pull this thing off? Well, guys, I finally scratch up a nice limit of fish throughout the rest of the day. But I'm watching this water get lower and lower. This is where it gets scary. I start noticing like mud bars sticking out of the water where I haven't seen a mud bar yet. And then one of the local guys goes to take off in the tournament, and we have to drive through this one little path. Like there was little PVC poles. You had to drive right through there. And one of the local guys decided to take off. I've got the winning stringer in the live well, guys. I've got $100,000 worth of bass. And I've got to go down this one little trail where these white PVC poles are, and one of the locals decides to leave before me. And here's what happens.
Think he's gonna make it? Oh. I hope that doesn't happen to us. Another fish.
I tell you what, Jerry, some tournaments, being able to drive the boat well and getting some breaks while you're driving a boat are more important than others. This is one of those tournaments right here.
This is one. Just think of this. Scott has probably got the winning string of fish in his boat.
Man.
But we just saw a boat beached out there, and that very same thing could happen to Scott if he's not real careful. Plus that long trip across the Gulf. Man, he's got to row the hoe.
That helped me. That helped me.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking. Like, this is not good. This isn't good at all. So you know what I did? I caught another one right then, which was crazy. Upgraded. I knew I won the tournament. I said to myself, we got to go, and we need to get out of here, because if for some reason I get stuck getting out of here, maybe between the camera guys and me and a couple guys over there pushing their boat out, that maybe we'll have enough people to push ourselves out. So I got everybody situated. I turned the boat around. I got as far back as I could in this little bay where it had water, and got it up on plane. It was a 518 Ranger. And I literally got it up on plane, guys, and I've got the thing trimmed up as high as it can go. And I cut across that flat, and I'm aiming right for where that guy's stuck. And they're pushing their boat. They're pushing. And here I come, and they move out of the way, and I come flying through there, and the boat's going 65. And I'm hitting bottom. It's going 50, 45, 40. 35, and it's just, the engine is going, wah, I look back, it's like, it's oysters flying in the air. I'm shucking oysters. It's oyster shucking season flying behind me, yes. And the boat's going 40, 35, 30, I'm like, I'm not gonna make it. And here I come, I go right by the guys going probably 25 miles an hour. I'm like a go devil now. I've got the engine, I'm not letting up. I've got it down, pinned. I'm like, sorry, FLW, okay? I've got it pinned. And all of a sudden, I go just far enough, and the engine and the prop bites, and I go from 20 miles an hour to 25 to 30, 40, 50, 50, 60. I am gone. There I go. I-10, hang a left, run down underneath the bridge, hang a right in the middle of Mobile Bay, airing it out, baby. I'm talking 70 miles all the way back. I slide under Dolphin Island Bridge. I do a bunch of S-turns, around a bunch of white PVC poles. I've got white birds flying up in the air. I mean, I'm going as fast as I can, and I'm pumped because I know if I can make it back, I'm going to win this tournament. And guys, when I pulled up and put that boat on the trailer and threw my key in the little basket, I knew that I'd won that tournament. And that's the story right there. Let's take a look at the winning moment. This is pretty cool. It's crazy how I look. Don't laugh, okay?
There they are. 2 men left. Championship day. Walmart FLW Tour event here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Marty Stone has already weighed in a limit of fish, 8 pounds, 4 ounces. If Scott Martin can't bring up 1 pound, 12 ounces, excuse me, 1 pound, 13 ounces, no, 12 ounces, Marty Stone will win the $100,000 first prize. Come on up here, Marty. If Scott can bring up 1 pound, 12 ounces, Scott Martin will be your champion. You ready for this, Marty?
Man, I've been waiting for 4 days. Let's do it.
Let's do it, he says. Scott's fixing to show us what he's got. There it is right there. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? There's your champion. Just a formality now. Let's weigh him in. Make it legal. Grab yourself a picture.
Just to make it official, Scott, 2 fish, both alive, 7 pounds, 2 ounces.
Scott Martin, your champion right there. There's your buddy right there. Let's hear it for him. What a job all week long. Another guy who's made the run, paid his dues all week. Co-Angler of the Year last year, one of the leaders now for Angler of the Year on the Walmart FLW Tour. You're the man who is on the map now. What a great way to get a career kick-started.
It was just unbelievable. You know, like they were saying, we made that long run. It was so much of an adrenaline rush when you get over there. And that big fish was the second one I put in the live well today. And I was just freaking out. I couldn't believe it. It's the biggest one I've seen in the whole week of practice. And I don't know what it exactly weighed, but I don't think there's been that many fish weighed in that big. I thought it was a redfish at first, and it didn't jump. And then it got almost to the boat, and it came up and showed its mouth, and I was just about fell out of the boat.
All right, guys, that is about it. It was one of my best stories. It was one of my most memorable events for sure. You know, I've got many more years of tournament fishing, and now, you know, switching over to the Bassmaster, I got many stories coming your way of some potential victories. I can't wait to sit down and tell you some great stories about some of the stuff that I'm going to do over the next part of my career on the Bassmaster Tour. But that is my very first FLW Tour win, $100,000. It's what started my career. You know, without this event, without winning this, it could have been a totally different situation. It really could have been. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, FLW, for letting me use that footage. And, you know, awesome stuff, guys. It's crazy. 20 years ago. Can you believe it? 20 years ago. So I've got more tournament stories coming. But again, drop some comments down below. We haven't talked about the Cup. We haven't talked about a couple other things. I've got a couple more Bassmaster tournaments to talk about. I've got a lot of neat stuff. I've got some, even the Team USA stuff. You want to hear some behind the scenes, and we have a lot of footage of that. I'm talking about catching giant donks, yeah, in Mexico, and in South Africa. We can talk about that. Would be awesome, right? Team USA, that was some good stuff right there. A lot of fun. Matter of fact, we've got some stuff coming up. Now, I'm going to leave you with all that, guys. I hope you all are staying safe. Thank you so much for all the support. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Turn that notification bell on. And also, check out our merch at www.shoppsmc.com. That's right. Check it out. That is our merch link. I would love for you guys to wear some hats, some of the hoodies that we have, t-shirts. And if you wear them in some of your fish pictures that you have, be sure to tag us. Scott Martin Challenge on Instagram or Facebook, and we will try to give you guys a shout out on that. So thank you again for all the support. Love you guys, and we will see you soon. We'll see you. Bam!